What's up, YouTube? Okay, so like I've said in the past, we are moving pretty fast on this rebuild. So last night I went ahead and ordered about 500 bucks worth of parts just to start getting this motor going, and as well as some parts for like the swing arm and the linkage rebuild that's inevitably gonna have to happen. So there were a couple parts that were out of stock that I actually need pretty bad, but that's all right. I've got a list of other stuff I got to do with this build too. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep going with where we're at. I'm going to disassemble the gears on the clutch side, and then we're going to start getting to the point where we're going to split the case. Ready? Let's go. These are the gears that I'm referring to. We're going to take this out, this kickstarter, this gear. I'm going to get that all squared away. We're going to get this gear off of here, off the main crankshaft. We're going to take the, the shifter out, as well as the gear shift drum back here. And yeah, so we'll get to the point where we're going to be splitting the case. So, by the way, if you don't have one of these engine stands and you're trying to do something like this, just forget it. This thing is so nice to have. Okay, so in order to save you from making the same mistake I did, you're going to need to put the clutch basket back on here in order to get this here bolt loose. So just be prepared for that. Sorry about that. I should have known better. I have a gear jammer. It's the Motion Pro thing. So I'll get it in there. And then, yeah. So that'll make it easy. You can use a couple pennies. Some people like doing that. I prefer to use the tool. It's just kind of what I do. So then from there, you're gonna go ahead and just pop this off of here. Let's see if I can't get this. I wasn't prepared for this clearly. Okay, round two. Let's give this a try. Okay, I'm gonna do this with one hand. Or I'm not gonna do this with one. Okay, I got our gear jammer in there. I got the big guns. Let's go ahead and get her done. There we go, that was easy. Okay, so we got that all loosened up. Careful, there's a thrust washer back there behind that. Okay, so this one's easy. I mean, you just take this guy out. There's a little sleeve on the back of it, so don't lose that. Put them together. Let's see. Here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in that bag. I've got it all labeled. I even drew a picture. I know, right? Okay. So you gotta be careful with these needles. I feel like could fall out of here. So see if you can't, my fingernails will take, yeah, there we go. Go ahead and take that out. And we're gonna put it in this bag here. And then we're gonna gently, let's see if I can do this with one hand. Pull the Kickstarter gear off of there. And I'm gonna pull it out all in one go. So, side note, I'm just gonna peel all this off of here. We're gonna get a new gaskets kit. Also, be sure to be mindful of these pins on this outer clutch case. There's one that's sitting in right here that I didn't want to mess with. I just ordered new ones. I just don't even want to mess with it, trying to get those out with heat. So I usually mess them up whenever I do a rebuild like this. Okay, so once you got this spring out of that hole down there, you're gonna want to take it. Okay, so that wasn't supposed to happen. What you're supposed to do is get the spring all the way over here and then twist the shaft like that and get this Kickstarter spindle out from behind that, and then it just pulls right out. But clearly don't do it how I did it. It's still intact, thankfully. Not that it really matters, you can put it back together, it's just easier that way. Okay, so maybe I can do this with a little more style and grace. So you're gonna pull this retainer off. It's just one bolt. Okay. And I go ahead and just throw it right in the same bag as this Kickstarter spindle. So like I said in the other videos, when I bought this thing, they said that the crankcase or the crank seal was bad and it was sucking oil through into the crank, they thought. So, I mean, obviously seeing the other side, that was likely it with the whole lean condition. I think, I'm not sure why he was saying that it was drinking oil, but yeah, just make sure. What I do every time is to take a picture of the crank seal before you go any further, just so you have a reference point when you're putting it back together. That is, if it's in the right spot. This one looks like it's just fine. It's supposed to be flush according to the manual, so, and it is. Now this is where we're at. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take the shifter out. All you do is you get back here and just push her out. Be careful though, there is a washer behind this, as you can see back there. You see it? It's a black washer right down there. So we're gonna slowly take that guy out of there. Just be mindful of that washer. Okay. There you go. There's your shift shaft. Should have the spring with it and that washer back there. Okay, next we're gonna start taking these bolts out one by one. I'm loose. There you go. There's one. Here's two. Okay, there's three. Okay. Once you got all those bolts out, this I don't know what you want to call it. Just this plate here is sitting underneath this this shifter here, this shifter drum. This is loose. Don't lose it. Might be a good idea to take it off there immediately. But you can actually pull. Move my hand. Sorry. Let's see if I can't get a good angle here. You can actually pull this out as one, but be very careful. In fact, how I would do it is I would see there's two springs there. Just pull it out just like that. Okay. There are springs right here and on the other side. Just make sure you don't lose any of that stuff. And don't do that one-handed holding a camera either. So here's a better look at it. See, there's two springs on either side of that. But that'll all fall out if this plate isn't taken with it. This part's a little tricky. What I would do is you're gonna need to move this arm this way a tad bit and then hit this with the impact to get it off. Yeah, so you gotta take it a little bit off a little bit of tension off the gear shifter drum center. Sorry I didn't do this on camera, but you got to go ahead and get this bolt loose by taking a little bit of tension off of this arm. And then basically from there, it just kind of slides off. But just be careful. There is a washer that sits underneath that arm. And then, of course, the spring itself, where is it? Spring itself actually rides on this part of the case. Okay, so for me, this was extremely tight, and it's still giving me resistance taking this pin out. So just be very careful when you're taking this out. Okay, so I got the center bolt out of there. So when you take it out, there is a dowel pin back there that will be in the shifter drum. It's right there, you can see it. I think somebody actually Loctited this at some point, because you see all that red stuff? That better not be threads or whatever it is, but it looks like almost like like a dab of red Loctite. Not really sure, but you don't need to do that when you're rebuilding these. You don't need Loctite for that. At least I've never put Loctite on these. So that shouldn't be that hard to take off. Also, you could actually have taken this off first before the arm. It doesn't really much matter. Some people like to do it first. I prefer the other way. We got all the guts out of the clutch side of this CR250 motor. I'm not sure if you're supposed to remove this. In the manual, it didn't say anything about it, so I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm done with this side. I'm gonna move on to splitting cases. This is not my first time doing a bottom end, but I do want to say that the first time I ever did a bottom end, I was extremely nervous about it. Like, all I've been doing is just bagging everything up as I go. And I mean, I've said it before in another video, that saves your ass like 100%. So this is, like I said, pretty much done. We're gonna start splitting cases here. Okay, so I got the motor turned around on my engine stand. We are going to start going ahead and getting these bolts out of here. They're all kind of all over the place. I drew up a piece of cardboard, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get these off and put them in there and then put it aside so I don't lose them in the order they're supposed to be at. Okay, so here we go. Try that again. All right, that was slightly embarrassing. Let's go ahead and get started. We are going to get all these bolts nice and loose, and then from there, after we get them loose and out of the case, we're going to actually transfer them over to that cardboard that I showed you. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss any. And that way we don't go ahead and lose any of our bolts or the order that they're put in. Okay, that's it. So go ahead and get those loose or get those out of the case and transfer them to that cardboard. And you're okay, so we got the cardboard full of bolts over there. We got no bolts in here. The only thing that's really holding this thing together is the crank. So I'm gonna get my tools out and set up. That way you can kind of take a look at how I'm setting it up and you can follow. I've got my Tusk crankcase splitter all set up on my CR250. On the ignition side, I've got the crank lined up with this puller here. You can find these at Rocky Mountain ATV. You can find these on Amazon. They are not that expensive, and if you're like me and you're gonna do rebuilds like this often or even just a few times, it pays for itself to have the right tool. Please, for the love of God, don't go trying to build your own tool for this. You're gonna mess up your cases, or I mean, you could hurt yourself, I guess. I'm not really sure, but yeah, just do yourself a favor and get the right tool for the job. This is a 17 millimeter on this puller. I've got my impact here ready. Make sure you have a rubber mallet standing by because these might get stuck, and giving it a little bit of a tap will make the case cooperate a little easier. So I'm going to do my best to get this all on video. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, guys, let's split these cases. This might take a minute, so make sure you got this rubber mallet ready. Has to separate evenly, so just remember that. So it's separating okay over here. Okay, not bad, making progress. So make sure you push this down so the transmission doesn't just fall out of there, because that would be bad. It's coming off there sideways. There we go, readjust. Okay, she's done, she's good. She's separated. Shit. I didn't remove these cylinder studs because I don't think I need to. They seem fine. Plus, it's a huge headache trying to get those out without. I don't have a stud remover. Okay, I'm gonna flip it up like this. Hopefully, you guys can see all right. And you just gotta make sure you take this off. Okay. Don't want the transmission to fall out. That is the last thing you want. Okay, it's trying. Jesus, I got one. Be very gentle here. I got one. One of the rods that the shift forks sit on is trying to come out with the case. Come on. Okay, well, I guess it's just gonna come out with the case then. I can put it back in there. Okay. Shit. Yeah, there's a washer right here, by the way. Cool. That one wanted to come out. Go ahead and throw that back in there so it don't get lost. Case is officially split. Okay. Cool. You guys just witnessed splitting cases. Okay. Cases are officially split. And this part of the project is pretty close to being done, at least just the tearing down of the motor. I did verify it is this main bearing that's bad. It's extremely crunchy in there, and it's just had it. I think it has everything to do with that that crank seal that wasn't even remotely in place. Crank feels really nice, very smooth and true. So by the way, this is what I used to film that. I just had the phone in the triple clamps with a zip tie keeping it there. That crank is actually in really good shape. I think I'm still going to send it out to one of two places. My friend Mitch told me about a guy named Ken O'Connor in Connecticut. Might send it to him, or Crankworks in Tempe, Arizona. We'll see. That could change. But overall, pretty simple teardown of this motor. Not sure when I'm going to post again, just because I'm going to have to get parts in as well as get that crank out as soon as possible. So thanks again for watching my videos, guys. Really appreciate it.